You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
All right, hey, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye. How are we doing? Wherever you are in the world, one of those must apply to you. This is LTID TV1 from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us. International football, did you watch it last night? I have to be honest with you now because my co-host has just fallen asleep. I have to be honest with you. I'd forgotten it was on. That's how excited I was. I mean, half the team had refused to play. A bit like, remember when Leicester played Watford in the FA Cup the last season I think it was under Brendan Rodgers or the season before, and we beat them because we put all the youngsters out. All the big ones came back against Nottingham Forest. But then again, look, who gives a shit? Are we really that bothered for international football? I've got to say no. And look, do you like yellow kit? We're going to look like a pair of lemons tonight. I mean, I know we normally do, but we're going to look like a pair of lemons even more because this is a very early JTW show. Yes, it is. And I don't mean, the alcoholic orange drink either. I mean the January transfer window. Look, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, like, click that notification bell, and if for $1.99 a month, subscribe, and you can be a member. People often say, I'm a member. I don't know exactly what they mean about that. Probably I'm better not asking. Let's get this party started, as a very colourful singer once said, and we'll do the best and bring in Brad. Brad, good evening, sir. How the devil are you?
Good evening, mate. I'm looking forward to talking about this show. It's going to be a fun one, isn't it?
When isn't it ever full when we're together? Andreas is in saying good evening from Cyprus. How are you, Andreas? John is in, evening all. Jess is in. Very good evening, Jess. Welcome along. LCFC forever. Hope he comes to us. Once a fox, always a fox. And Jesse starting the hashtags already. Bring back KDH. Or hashtag bring back KDH. We should start that, shouldn't we? Look, he's there. Let's talk about it. Oh, and Lord has just come in. Just says matching in yellow. Of course.
Some people think this is scripted. Give them
I'm really upset that you think that I wouldn't memo Brad and say we're yellow. It's a transfer show.
Yeah. He sent me a voice note. It was just Coldplay saying it was all yellow, and I got the
hint. You see, had I gone for that, I would have gone for Christie's Yellow River, but that was going back to 1970, and most people wouldn't have got the link. Andrea's probably saying what we all say. Great thanks, Chris. Could be better if Cooper was gone. Check the. We're not going to talk Cooper in this one because we kind of did it to death last night. Do check it. 7:00 last night. It's under Chatting City. It's all about Cooper going. I was joined by Ant, so check that out. So we don't really want to sort of concentrate on him yet again. Is the prodigal son set to return? That's the question. Would we have him, Brad?
Yeah, in a heartbeat. I would have him straight back. I mean, I've seen a few strange mixed reviews about the idea of him coming back, but let's face it, Chris, this is a very strange circumstance. I just saw their Ray's comment. Just like drink water. It's nothing like drink water, actually. Because drink water was texting his mates at rest in peace Fisher's funeral, apparently, about wanting, about everything, about his move to Chelsea. And you know, and when we won the league, he wanted to get the move. He wanted that. He was, you know, he wanted out the club. As soon as the offer came to take the big money that Leicester weren't going to afford to offer it to pay him, you know, he wanted to go. And you can't blame him. It's Chelsea. They were always going to be able to offer him more money. KDH made it very adamantly clear that if there was a way he could stay, he was going to stay at Leicester. He did not want to leave. In fact, let me take you back to 24 hours before Chelsea engaged conversation with Leicester about it. Leicester's sticky financial situation meant we were accepting £30 million from Jakob Moder from Brighton in an exchange to make sure that A, we got the money, and B, we got a replacement in, and C, we wouldn't face any potential FFP charge or points deduction going forward, or proceeding into probably pre-planning our books for the check that comes around at the end of next month. So it's nothing like Drinkwater. It's nothing like Kante. It's nothing like this transfer, because people might sit there, Chris, and go, "Oh yeah, well Villa, they're in Champions League. He'd obviously want to go to them. He's a big time Charlie now. He wants to be on that wage." This is the sort of player I could see now. Take me back to my home club. He's Leicester born and bred, and he wants to come back. If that door's open just a millimetre, Chris, he would jump right through it, I reckon. I honestly believe that.
I get what you're saying, but it wouldn't be even if we went in for him. Chelsea have not got to say yes, have they?
No, of course not. They might not. They might not want to, but also the player doesn't have to say yes to any other club. You know, Villa could come in with the offer to loan them, and they could say yes. But if KJC goes, no, you've told me. I found out Leicester are interested. Accept the damn loan. You know, then that's up to Leicester and Chelsea. They, you know, Villa might be willing to put in an offer to buy come the summer, or an obligation to buy, or whatever, and they might turn around and say, "Well, we just paid Leicester 30 million. We're not going to sell you straight back to him." The clubs might go, "Well, loan him back then. Loan me back to them for 6 months." You don't know what the circumstances are.
I think it is only going to be a loan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a loan in January, because no, you're not going to sell a player in January that you've only just brought. You know, it'd be ridiculous of them to do it. I think they'd just be foolish to do it, but I feel like the sentiment was what helped Drinkwater, because someone said it. You know, KDH choose Chelsea over the move to Brighton because obviously Enzo, who he always spoke highly of working for, doesn't seem it's worked out there. Funny that when you know, that may be the one thing he regrets in that sense, because he went to a team that had 455 midfielders, whereas Brighton probably had 3 or 4 he had to get ahead of. But when a manager speaks so highly of you and you got on so well at your former club together, he may have thought that he'd get the chance given to him anyway. But yeah, loan him back, and I don't really care if it is just a loan with no option to buy. There is midfielders right now that I would instantly drop within a heartbeat and wouldn't even bat an eyelid to get him back in our midfield.
Well, that was going to be the question I was going to come on to. But first of all, let's just have a look. We sold him for 30 million. He has clocked up just 43 minutes of Premier League action and 3 appearances for Chelsea. He's fared better in the Europa Conference and the EFL Cup. I think he started a lot more games. He's actually scored for them in one victory. I'm not sure. I think it was the Europa. But Chelsea saying that they are open, as you can see there, to a January transfer loan deal. I mean, I'm going to play conspiracy theory here, because you know I do like a good conspiracy theory. Look at the size of my boobs in this. Bloody hell. I look like the man on the back of the megabus. But I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Wasn't it your ex-wife's nickname for you?
Yes, indeed. She was the front, I was the back. Anybody that knows Mock the Week will possibly appreciate that. I wonder whether it was kind of part of the Enzo going to Chelsea deal that they would come back in. Because look, we needed 40 million. They weren't going to pay 40 million for Enzo. So to get them as a package, do you think that's something Chelsea said, look, you need the money. We want Enzo. Chuck Kieran Dewsbury-Hall in. We'll make it 40 million. There's your problem solved. We'll get a player and a manager.
I get it. It does make sense when you think about it like that. But I think it was purely coincidental because up until that, like I said, Chris, we actually didn't need Chelsea to come in and rescue us. Brighton were making the moves. We was going to have a deal set in place with Brighton, which would have, by all accounts, done exactly the same as Chelsea. If you look at Chelsea's recent history, and I'm not even saying Abramovich's recent history, I'm talking since Monopoly man Todd Bowley has taken over. What he seems to do is hire a manager, sign 7 players for them, and then goes, "Oh, okay, pick one player you really want, and we'll give you the money to spend it." And maybe then Enzo went, "Well, I really like Kieran Dewsbury-Hall.
Yeah.
And I can help out my former club, even though I just left them in the lurch. Maybe do myself a favour, get a bit of respect back from their fans, and I get my favourite player from Leicester." So I get it because the amounts all add up and that, but we have to remember, no less than 24 hours beforehand, he was going to the seaside and was going to be playing in blue and white just for Brighton. Had Chelsea not done that. And I feel that's more coincidence of Todd Bowley going, pick a player, any player, and instead of picking a world class player with the greatest respect to KDHD, he's gone, I want KDH from Leicester, and he's gone, oh, okay, all right, really? That's going to save me lots of money. Go and spend 30 million on Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, man.
But the thing is, we all know, and when it comes to conspiracy theories, by the way, the Americans never landed on the moon, but that's another conspiracy theory. Chelsea, says Ray, we're never going to play KDH at this point. The trade was more to sabotage Leicester City. I don't think that Chelsea, with all respect, Ray, were worried about Leicester City causing them any problems in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, I can't imagine that if you asked Bowley and then eventually Enzo when he got made their manager, or any of their players for that matter, who's going to cause you? Name me top 8 clubs that are going to cause you problems this season to potentially push you out of either a title race, which they were never going to be in, or even a European spot. I couldn't imagine if you'd put a gun to their head, they would have said Leicester City. In fact, you'd be more inclined for them to say Brentford than you are Leicester City. And that was before a ball was kicked, Chris.
Or even Brighton. Let's be honest with
Brentford,
you.
Brighton. Yeah. And until the season started, Chris, with what they've done recently, I know you and your love of Gary O'Neill's love child talked about it a few seasons ago, but Wolves would have probably been a higher threat to them initially than Leicester before the season started.
No, don't totally. I don't think we were any threat to Chelsea at all. I just, when a player must surely know when they move to Manchester City or Chelsea or Liverpool, like Tielemans did with Villa, in fairness, none of them are going to be first choice players. They're never going to be the first names on the team list. But look at Tielemans. He went to Villa. He was he struggled at the start because we were all laughing, weren't we? And he was never picked, and he only ever came on as a sub. Now he is an integral part of the Villa setup.
Yeah, but maybe that's what Tielemans needed for his career, because I feel like at Monaco beforehand and with us, he really rested on his laurels. He knew with Leicester he was going to get burnt out because we had to play him every week. Whether we felt he should have not, we did have options. We're not saying we didn't have any options. One of them's still here, by the way, impressing us in recent weeks, Samare. But managers felt compelled to play him back into form. So he was burning out. That's why the performances dropped, and he was never getting dropped. Whereas, like you said, at Villa, the jump between Villa and Manchester City and that is a little bit of a middle ground. And it's probably the most even ground to go to, Chris, in that respect, because if you slowly, get your form back and slowly put some good performances in, like we've said, like you've seen with Tielemans, you get that spot nailed down a bit more. But you're under no illusions. Whereas, for lack of a better thing, same with Maddison, really, as well, you could say as well. They were the big fish in not a small pond, but they'd outgrown the big lake, hadn't they?
Yeah.
They needed to move to the big lake. They needed to move from the medium lake to the big lake, and they'd outgrown our medium-sized lake, and now they're at what they class as bigger lakes. And probably find that's the sort of club that both them players will stay at. You're not going to see a Maddison or a Tielemans at a Real Madrid or an Arsenal, mainly because it'd be career suicide for Maddison to go from one trophyless club to another. But that's what you kind of, I know, right? Get the shots in while I can.
Yeah.
But I just feel like certain clubs, you just know a player's going there for the money, or is going there.
A while ago, before we played Southampton, you may remember that I interviewed Matt Le Tissier. He came on to do the preview with me, and we had a few minutes at the end talking about his career, and also, do you remember when we spoke to Dean Hammond a couple of seasons ago about the Man United 3 Leicester City 5, or the way around, but game? And he said the same. It was not, for some players, it's about the money. And you have to accept that, because, look, as much as we say about these players going to these clubs for the money and they're not going to get the game, this is their career. I can remember that I moved from my job, which was as a manager, to a role where I was the only person, but I was technically, my title said director. I got another £5,000 a year, and on the way back from the interview, he rang up and offered me another £1,000 if I took the job. So I took that. I was there 3 months, and I'd gone back to where I was before. So it's where, we do the same sort of things in our life when it comes to jobs. Of course we do. But I remember Dean Hammond and Matt Le Tissier alluded to it as well. It's down to the individual. Matt Le Tissier, Dean Hammond, they could have gone to different clubs for more money. But they stayed, or Dean Hammond said he came to us because we offered him Premier League football, which he wanted. Do you know what I mean? And Matt Le Tissier could have moved. Let's be honest with you, he could have picked his club, but he didn't, because he wasn't bothered for the money. He knew he would get regular game time at Southampton. So, but you can understand players doing that, can't you?
Yeah, you can. You certainly can, and some players have actually been upfront and honest about it. One notable example, Chris, that you may not know, because he's not a player from the Premier League. I can't remember if it was when the Chinese or the Russians started their own league. You remember them? Do you remember them when they were like big for about 2 years and then completely imploded?
That was China, yeah.
I remember Axel Witsel. Some people in the comments might know I'm on about here. But loads of players, Chris, and it's the same nowadays with the Saudi League. They get interviewed and they all give that scripted speech, don't they? Oh, well, I'm going over there because I feel it's a great country and it's going to help develop the game of football over there. And we bullshit. That's what we do. Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's all fair play to him. I remember it. Like I said, I can't remember which league it was. It was one of them two at the time when they kind of tried it and it backfired. But he got asked, he goes, "Oh, are you come here like the rest of your teammates to come and help grow this league?" I went, "No, they offered me 400k a week. I came for the money. It's going to set me up for life. I'm going to be honest." I told them that and all. And you can't blame them. I mean, at the end of the day, Chris, people come on here and have some people have the audacity to go, "Oh, one of these Saudi players are just throwing their careers away." I don't think Ivan Toney cares that he's not going to represent England. Well, he's probably getting paid £500,000 a week. I mean,
we moan, but would any one of us, do any different? And I want to go back.
Give me £500,000 a week for 3 months, Chris, and I'll happily go over to Saudi Arabia.
Yes, indeed, wouldn't we all? As long as you've got a place for me as well, mate. But we said earlier, and you mentioned it about KDH. We know, look, Drinkwater, bit of a rat. We know that. Wish him well, etc., because of what he did. But we know when he left the club, he was beginning to believe his own publicity. Yuri Tielemans, I wish him all the best. I still don't like him as a person because he could have gone out a different way. Kante, fair enough. I don't like the way he got out as quickly as he could, but we got money for him. Better in his career. And who was the last one I was just going to mention? Riyad Mahrez. He actually signed a new contract, stayed with us, gave us a year in the Champions League. All right, maybe went a bit sour after that, but again, we got money for him. KDH never, like you say, never wanted to leave. In fact, he came out and said, I want to help Leicester City back in the Premier League. And he probably realised that by going to Chelsea, yes, he was going to get lots of money. Yes, he may not actually get all that much game time, but he will. Oh, Scott, you're being naughty now. But he probably realised that he was helping Leicester by going.
Yeah, which is exactly why, with the greatest respect to them, I think he was willing to go to Brighton. Because I think he was willing to go to Brighton because Leicester were like, look, we want you to stay, but we have not and cannot fathom a way that you stay at Leicester and we don't get absolutely steamrolled points wise. We cannot do it, unfortunately. And I reckon they had that honest chat with him, and I appreciate it. But then, sorry, Brighton fans, but KDH is better than your club, right? I think he is worthy of being a higher statured player in a slightly bigger team than Brighton right now. Although the way their season's going, maybe not. But my point was, Chris, at that very moment in time, if you said to me, that shows to me that he was like, okay, I give up. I've tried. I've desperately asked to stay. You've looked for other alternatives, which is why I think it went to the wire, Chris. I think that's why it went the last couple of days, because there was no like Maddison and Tielemans and Barnes situation in the Championship where it was as soon as the clubs came in for him, it was bosh, get the deal done, get the money in, please.
Yeah.
We waited until the last minute to officially have to sell him because no one would give us £30 million for Daka.
Unfortunately.
And I think that proved it because he was willing in his own mind to go, okay, well, I can't get any mood training in the big clubs. Brighton are the only one that's showing me interest. Let's get the deal done. If I can't stay at my home club, I'm going to make sure they're safe.
Like you say, as the saying goes, took one for the team. Bum bum.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you answer that question from Scott, Brad. Can I just say, welcome back, Scott, as a moderator. It's brilliant to have you back. Thank you very much for agreeing. Mind you, with comments like that, Brad may be asking me to unmod you. But go for it, Brad.
There's many a word I could use to describe Wesley Fofana, but none of them are allowed on YouTube without an instant ban, a video getting demonetized, and the channel being threatened to get shut down.
I think Scott is being. I think he's been a little bit naughty there with you.
Yeah. There is, however, plot twist, Chris. I mean, first of all, I'm going to answer the question. He's a rat. He's a scumbag, and he's done the same at every club. And St. Etienne warned us, right? We should never.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the two bits of karma that have come out of him moving to Chelsea. The money they spent to. Do you remember? Because you remember this, Chris. They actually stalled the deal to send him to America because they weren't sure how his legs were going to hold up. And the American, sorry, as Brookline comes in here, this isn't a dig at you, Brookline. It just happened you come in when I said American. The American physio said, no, he'll be all good. He'll hold up fine. How's that worked out for you? But Chris, sorry, I can feel myself going to be sick because I'm about to give him some credit here, Chris. Just give me a minute.
I'm not having anybody give Fofana credit on this channel.
Please. And it's all your fault that I'm giving him this credit. So listen to my words carefully. Yes, listen to my words carefully. What did you say? What did you say about Mahrez? He signed a new contract so we could get some money for him. Did he not?
Yes.
Wesley Fofana signed a new 5-year deal so we could get money for him. Left us at the end of that season.
No, I'm not having it. Anyway,
yeah, you're right. Bollocks to him. Sodom is a rat.
No, I remember him being sat in the stands because he refused to play, and I also remember him being.
Yeah, because at least Riyadh went back to training and playing for us, didn't he?
Well, he also sat on his arse at Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport in case his agent rang him, telling him to get a flight somewhere. So he was a rat as well. Hopefully, Jordan, I hope you don't say anything bad about Harvey Barnes. We love him. Look,
We
again,
too, mate.
I'll just say this, mate. I'll just say this. Harvey Barnes and James Maddison, neither of them asked for a leave. Neither of them tried to force a leave. They all went because we had to sell them, or we had to sell players to get the money in because of PSR, and they were our two most sellable assets. So I have nothing against Harvey Barnes, and I have nothing against James Maddison. If Fofana's in the Chelsea side, that comes back to Leicester a week tomorrow, I would boo him. I really would boo him. Harvey Barnes, no. James Maddison, no. I've got a James Maddison signed Leicester shirt up on my wall there. I love the guy. I hope he does well. Neither of them forced or asked for a move.
No.
Well done, Brad. I could not have put it any better.
You're welcome. To back what you just said about them players, Chris, they both came out either verbally or on social medias basically saying, we will not leave if nobody comes in for us. We were happy to stay at Leicester and help us get back.
He's on form tonight, is Scott.
Hey, I would have loved it. Don't say that.
I'll have a pint of whatever you're drinking, Scott.
No, don't say that. He's the Zoko Calic of the Martin O'Neill era, isn't he? He comes on to say penalty shootouts. But unlike Calic, he actually had to perform.
But let me put this to you. Let's get back to a second to KDH. If he comes back, look, do you remember? Let's talk. Well, first of all, Harvey Barnes, because if you remember, Claude Puel brought him back from West Bromwich Albion. I think that was in the January transfer window, and took him a couple of games. But I think he probably trying to remember, but he probably saved Puel's job that season. You know, he came in and he did well for us because I think we were the choice of us. We were in the bottom sort of when Puel brought him in. But if KDH is brought back in January with this clown in charge, would he make any difference?
Yes, he would. And the reason I say that is, Chris, he would be able to put Wilfred Deeney back in his defensive duties and not give him the free roam anymore, because that would go to KDH. And it would also see the end of one of the clown's signings, which is Skip. I would send Skip out on loan. I would get rid of him.
Right. Well, okay. I can't disagree with you more on either of those 2 points. Which is great. This is what we like about the football. It's about opinions, indeed. And if I have to say though, Brad, hopefully I can find it. I've still got. It is all about opinions.
Your opinion is wrong.
There we go. First of all, I don't think Skip is the worst of his signings. I think you've got Edouard and Dakova Reed.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry. I meant one off.
Yes. I quite like Skip. I think he plays well. He'd probably be starting for me. And putting Didi back into a defensive midfield role. We have got players that we have already got in that squad that could force him to do that anyway. So I don't think bringing Barnes in would necessarily make that much difference.
Bringing Barnes in?
Bringing KDH back. Sorry, I meant would make that much difference.
I do. I just feel like, first of all right, Skip's a good backup player, but now Samare stepped up. I'm just saying, Chris. I'm just saying.
No.
he plays-
That I won't disagree with you. I'll give you
Okay.
that. I'll give you that point.
But what would you rather have, Chris? Would you rather have a headless chicken Wilfred and Didi trying to play attacking midfield, getting balls passed to him by Harry Winks, or Wilfred and Didi having loads of time on the ball, knowing what he's good at, knowing he can ping a pass out when he's playing as a central defensive midfielder, passing the ball to KDH?
Okay, you asked me which of those I'd rather have. My answer to that is neither.
No,
If
no,
Ndidi-
no. This is a cop
no.
out. You don't let me.
If
No, you don't let me have a
Ndidi-
cop out. Pick one. Go
If
into your
Ndidi was
Chris,
never
pick one.
to wear a Leicester City shirt again,
No, you
I would
love
be
him,
happy.
really. You love him. All right, Chris. I'll make it easy for you. Vestergaard.
Sorry, Kate is working me from under the table here.
Vestergaard.
And very enjoyable it is as well, let me say that.
Vestergaard.
Later, Kate, later. Just I've sorted Ndidi out. You're all right, calm down. Sorry.
Okay, who would you rather be getting the ball in a situation? Vestergaard with one of his sexy 25-yard passes to Wilfred and Ndidi, or Vestergaard with one of his sexy 25-yard passes to Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that goes without saying, Kiernan
Dewsbury-Hall. Bring him back.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Look, I am 100%. We should go out, and obviously these days for a loan, you have to pay for a loan. I'm sorry, get him back for the 6 months, because at the end of the season, if he happens to still be here, and if he happens to have somehow kept us up, I'm still in hope.
It's worth his weight in gold. It's worth it tenfold, doesn't it?
It is 100%. What I'm saying though is we have got players that are already in that role that he seems to want to play in Ndidi up front. We've already got players there. We don't need somebody to come back in, but he still plays him up there because the guy is an absolute total tosspot. He's got no idea, no game. He's starting me off now. No idea, no game plan, no tactical nous whatsoever. He'd be better off being in charge of Billy Smart's circus. At least he'd feel at home there with his fellow clowns. Anyway. Talking about Kiernan Dewsbury.
Talking about Cooper, eh?
I don't. You know, I've got to get off that fence, haven't I? I really have.
You do, mate. You need to pick a side, really. It's getting a bit annoying.
I was one of the guys that wanted him in at the start, so you know I've got to kind of eat a lot of humble pie here. No, it's like when what's he called? Rogers kept playing Tielemans when he was rubbish, and I do feel that's what. Cooper is doing with Ndidi, but definitely yes, bring him back. I'm not sure whether bringing him back would make a huge difference without there being a change at the top. I could be wrong. I mean, let me ask you a question then. Who would you sooner have in charge now? Steve Cooper or Puel? It's tight, I know. So Christmas is coming, but don't worry, I'll give you the time.
Yeah, you know what, Chris? I'm gonna.
Dare say Cooper, and you are kicked.
No, right, okay. No, hear me out, right? Do you want my answer? But if I give you my answer, you've got to let me explain why first, and then you can kick me out.
No, I don't.
I nearly clicked add in again. We'd have done the old add and remove. I forgot I got the powers that be again. Right, I'm gonna piss you off with my answer. But
I feel like you are doing, yes.
Right now, I'm going to say Cooper. Right? I know, but hear me out. We have a midfield of Skip, Winks, a free wandering Wilfred and Ndidi. Right? No, you know what? Bugger you. Sit there. Think about what you've done. Right? Yeah. Anyway, folks, I've got you in. yeah, you put that book down there. No, because and here's my point, Chris. look at the midfield, look at the team that Cooper actually has in front of him. And I'm not discrediting the quality that we've got there. I'm not saying it's a bad side, right? But we've got Vestergaard at the back. We've got Hairbear Bunch at the back. We've got a left back playing right back, and it's going to have to now for the foreseeable future because sick note's out again, the Portuguese sick note. We've got Winks, Skip, and Ndidi as our midfield three. We've got Adi Akinbayu who sits on the bench on loan from Crystal Palace, and we've got two 30-year-olds as a striker, right? And I agree, Ray, 100%. It's like choosing between two big turds, right? Adrian Silva and what was Vicente Iborra, Wilfred and Ndidi. Our centre back pairings were Maguire. Who else was his partner back then? Because it weren't Ratwell, it weren't Ratface, were it? But we had a left back international in Ratwell. We had Kasper Schmeichel in goal. We had before he was broken, Ricardo Pereira at right back. He had an incredible team and somehow fudged it and made us the most boringest team in the Premier League. We were more boring than Stoke long ball FC when all they had was Rory Delap throwing the ball into the box. And I'm telling you now, if Puel tried that style of play with a quality difference we've got in this team, we would be Southampton and bottom.
No, I am sorry, but I'm going to have to politely disagree with you. I would have Puel 100 times.
I would not, and I think you'd be a fool to have him. I'm sorry.
Over Cooper.
I'm sorry, Chris, but the quality in the team difference is astronomical, and we were diabolical.
But with the quality team that we've got, it's like having a Formula One car and sticking your nan behind the wheel because he's never going to get out of the first lane at 29 miles an hour.
Yeah, but with Puel, it was like we had the framework of a Formula One car, and then we stuck in a Mini Cooper engine that's 30 years old and has rusty parts in it.
Oh, you're talking about 30-year-olds after Ho Cooper's brought in?
At least one of the OA pieces are working all right.
The other two are not. Can I just say, though, just a sidetrack, hi to Shane Downs. Welcome, mate, all the way from Washington. I did get your message on Facebook. Hi, Chris, what the hell? I'm less than 1 minute into your latest video and some lady comes on and starts talking about a single trick to get hard. It made me laugh anyway. Hope you are doing well. I don't... YouTube do put advertisements on. Certainly not on that soon, usually. And I think Shane, the advertisements are linked to your search history. Just saying. That's all I'm saying. But welcome along, Shane. Welcome along. We will agree to disagree with that. Look, apparently Aston Villa have made contact with Chelsea. Brighton obviously are also interested in him because obviously we knew they were at the start of the season. Newcastle are, Man United are, Tottenham are. It seems like the other 18 clubs that are left in the Premier League are all interested in him, which, fair play to KDH, says a lot about him, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, because he is a good talent. I mean, don't go Manchester United. No reasons, just don't go Manchester United.
2 words that you just want to avoid, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say that if KDH doesn't return home, this is where he needs to make the more sensible move and go, okay, I came here for sentiment because of Enzo. I came here because the deal was better and for Leicester probably as well because it was the fee up front. But let's just say Leicester say, look, we can't afford it. We can't do it. Because Chelsea want us to pay all his wages and he's on 120 grand or whatever he's on now. I don't know what he's on, but let's just assume, right? KDH, go out on loan, go to a club that's going to play you week in, week out. And stay away from Wolves, Southampton, Ipswich, because you're far better than them, but we need them to be crap. Unless you're going to go there and be agent KDH and score 4 own goals for them. Out of them clubs you just mentioned, though, I know that Newcastle have been struggling with injuries of late. I don't, Geordie, if you're still there, you might be able to tell me if it is in that sort of area. Newcastle could use it because they've been a bit rickety this season, haven't they, Newcastle? That last year was a real good season for Newcastle fans. This season has been a bit of a whoopsie. I'd be intrigued to say Newcastle could be the club out of all them that are most needed. Excuse me, are most
The
needed.
interesting thing is, like you say, depending on, presumably he's moved down to London, otherwise Villa would have been the best move for him. But then again, they'll put you up in a posh hotel anyway on a loan deal, won't they? I don't think he'll. I mean, if he's got any brains in his head, he would not, like you say, touch Man United with the barge pole. Who would at the moment? You know, that sort of let Amorim go in and try what the previous 10 managers have tried and all failed to do, and he'll probably fail as well. So let's forget Man United. If he goes to Villa, he's all he's got to do is ring Tielemans up and say, "Hey mate, what's it like at Villa?" Newcastle, he's got Harvey Barnes he can ring. Tottenham, he's got James Maddison that he can ring, and just say, you know, what's it like? What's the manager like? Is he okay? Blah blah blah. But like you, I think his actual best move might be Brighton.
It might be. It might be that, and
if not Leicester, of course.
Well, yeah. That if we're just taking us completely out of the equation, on the, like, for whatever reason, she said, I knew you had an injured. Oh, that's fine. I mean, if he fits, Geordie, do you see a way he gets into your team on a regular basis?
My worry is on coming back on that point, Brad. A very good point. But if a player, you look at these players like Tielemans, took him a while to settle in. Maddison is not starting every week. And at Newcastle, if they've got 7 midfielders, as he said there, will he get the regular game time? There's no point in loaning a player out and him not getting game time. That completely kills it, doesn't it? What's the point? You know.
Ask Crystal Palace and Edward.
Yes, yes. Or we could look at Atgun, couldn't we? But you know what I mean? If you're paying for a loan player, use him. You know what I mean? Because if you're not going to use him, why have you got him in on loan? You must have better players there. And my worry maybe sort of with the Newcastle is if they've got that many midfielders, is he going to even get a game? It's where he would get the most game time. I think if he doesn't come to Leicester, I think he would get game time. Let's be honest with you. Well, I don't know, probably we would play him in goal, but I think he'd get the most game time.
Left back, mate.
Yeah, well, exactly. No, he'd get the most game time, I think, personally, at Brighton.
Yeah, you feel like their depth in strength in that area would be good. Did he get a chance to go in there? I just feel like he's one of them players that you always feel has got a good chance of getting 20 plus games for a side like Brighton or Brentford or anyone like that, really from down that side of the table. Tottenham are just Tottenham, but I'd say the same about Tottenham. I don't think he'd walk into that team, especially with the great respect to KDH. If Maddison can't hold down a position in that team, what options has he got? I would warn away from KDH ringing up players and asking, because the thing is, Chris,
I'm not saying he should. I'm saying he could.
No, but the players do this, Chris. And if I could give one warning, not that I'd ever listen to someone like me, but if I could give one warning to maybe younger generation players or players that play on sentiment alone, don't necessarily take take advice from others, because if it's going swimmingly for the player you're ringing up and asking about, he might go, "Yeah, mate, manager's brilliant, blah 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 blah." But as we've seen over the years, and more so in the last few seasons, let's say he went to Tottenham, Chris, right? and Spurs kept being Spursy, we all know what happens at Spurs.
Yeah,
They stick a manager.
yeah.
That's all
Richard, I think Richard, I love the cut of that man's jib. Well, did some strange choices, but he did bring some good players in. Anyone better than Cooper? Richard, checks in the post, mate, or the PayPal's on its way,
yeah.
whatever they say.
But what did he manage
LCFC.
some good players? He couldn't manage these good players, could he?
Well,
Yeah.
Cooper can't, can he?
Well,
Brighton
no,
are
I
doing
mean-
well at the moment as well. He would be great at Brighton. Yeah, I think he'd be. I mean, he'd be great at any team, but like I say, I think if you're going to loan somebody out, if you're going to pay for somebody to come in, look, let me quote two names at you: Yuri Tielemans, Robert Huth.
Yes.
Two players that Leicester got in the January transfer window and played week in, week out. And that's what you got to do with January transfer windows. January transfer windows, you're paying over the odds for players. You're paying, like I say, these days low. You know, it costs you $5 million just to loan a player. I don't know how that works, but there we go. But you've got to use them, and they've got to be better than what you've got. And I don't know whether he is, no disrespect to him, definitely better than what Man United have got. But, you know, would he get in, like you say, at Tottenham? Again, Villa. I think Villa could possibly be a very good move for him. But there we go. But I think we agree we would love him back at Leicester, wouldn't we? Love it. I'd love it if he came back to Leicester.
Yeah, definitely. And to anyone who's maybe sat there going, oh, yeah, but he did this, he left like drink water. No, he didn't. You've got to remember the fact that he had stated on several occasions that he didn't want to leave. And I saw somebody go, oh, yeah, he said that, but then he was all praising Chelsea when he signed for them. Well, what's he supposed to do? What was he supposed to do on social media?
Club. Yeah.
Exactly. What's he supposed to put out on Twitter? This is shit. I don't even want to be here. You know what I mean? Unless your name's Ratwell Fofana and that, you might, you know, but I mean, what was he supposed to do? I would not be surprised, Chris, if it was part of his contract agreed that he had to put out a statement on Twitter to say how amazing Chelsea was and how he's so happy to be here.
I mean, again, you know, you're not going to. It's like, again, if it's in our job, whenever anybody moves, they're then the people. Chelsea are paying his wages. He's not going to come out and, let's be honest with you, and say didn't want to come. But, you know, they were the only team and I knew I'd get a load of, you know, he's not going to say that. He's going to praise them. They're paying his bloody wages after all. But what I want to do now, Brad, is it's January transfer window season coming up. Yes. So I want to discuss the January transfer window and we'll do that straight after this. And I want to talk about Two Men Down the Pub that you've just seen. We've renamed it Talking Balls. I want to know your thoughts because we did one the other night and absolutely loved it. I was just slowly getting pissed on camera and getting pissed off with Craig, bless him. But believe it or not, Craig at one point said, I'm going to shut up and let you speak, Chris. He didn't, but he said... Yeah, no, exactly. How do people feel about us doing that particular show on a Saturday morning pre-match? You don't have any Soccer AM anymore. You've got some stupid thing on social on Sky. How would people fancy a show? It would be earlier next week because we've got the 12:30 kickoff. But 9:30 till 11, something like that. How would people feel about us doing it on a Saturday morning? I mean, you know, we'll go to the pub at any time. We don't mind, you know. But let us know in the comments if that is something you would like on the Saturday morning. I'm trying to gauge opinion. January transfer window, 2025. Two players I want to talk to you about before we get on to you going into the who you think might leave or who we could let go. We talked about Harvey Barnes coming back off a loan, didn't we? And we talked about possibly, we've just been talking about it, KDH coming back. Two players that are out on loan at the moment I want to talk to you about. One of them is going to be pretty obvious. So let's get him out of the way first of all. Kiernan.
Yeah, bring him back.
Oh, Brad, I love you. I agree 100%. Vardy's going to get injured. Even if he's only playing once a week and only training for half a day, he's going
Yep.
to get injured. He's 37. I've got a big scar down my leg, and I didn't even realise I'd hurt myself. You know, I mean, when you get to a certain age, these things happen. And it's scary. It's scary that our main number one striker then becomes Jordan Ayew. And look, you know, I'm growing on Jordan Ayew, but he's not a 90-minute starting striker. But if he got injured during the game, we'd have to rely on Edward.
No,
Or
no.
possibly
I'll put
Dewsbury-Hall.
Daka ahead of him. At least he misses and tries.
Yes, although Daka obviously at the moment obviously doesn't appear to be fit. But all right, yeah, but if we include Daka in there, Cannon, look, and I know everybody's going to say, well, he's doing it up at Stoke, but they're a championship side, and when he did it at Preston, they were a championship side. Blah blah blah. I don't care. Like you say about Daka, at least put the effort in. The chances are something may go in. I can't see.
Exactly.
We need somebody like that. We need somebody young that's hungry that's going to say, "I don't." Do you remember Kramaric?
Yeah.
I can remember when Pearson bought him. He didn't play him hardly. When he did, I remember being behind the goal that he was kicking, that no other striker or player wanted to take a shot. They seemed to be too scared, playing it across the front line, but never actually having a shot. Kramaric used to come on and go, fuck this, I'm having a shot, I'm a striker. Didn't always hit the back of the net, very rarely did, but at least we were seeing shots go in, and I think that's what you would get, personally, if we got Tom Cannon back, and eventually one of those is either going to go in or going to go in off somebody's arse.
Yeah, exactly, Chris. And, take it back to when we loaned out Harvey Barnes to West Brom and then brought him back. Confidence, flourishes. When we actually gave Tom Cannon a chance after his injury, when he transferred to us with an injury, he got a couple of games, he started to score, and then he started to find the back regularly. I was referring to him as the Nugent of today, of this era, Chris. He was like Nugent and Vardy on the pitch when he used to, go between them and play them together.
Yeah.
It was such a strange thing to see him go straight out. I don't know if maybe the player was like, oh, yeah, just get me out alone. I want to be playing every week. If you can't guarantee that, get me out. Which I totally understand. But right now, Chris, there is 3-step process to get Cannon back in this team. Because you've got to remember as well, check the history of Jamie Vardy. He goes missing through December. Start of January. He doesn't really score goals, or not many at all. Here's the 3-step process. You send Edward back into Crystal Palace, because I don't even think he was at Leicester. In fact, someone tell me his stats of how many times he's touched the ball whilst being in Leicester.
Probably one more time than Dewsbury does.
Possibly, because Dewsbury seems to only touch the ball when it's gone out for a throw-in. But I would send Edward out back to Palace. I would then say to Stoke, here's Daka, we'll have Cannon back, please. Thank you very much. I would loan Daka out to get his confidence up, get him scoring, get him playing regularly. Kind of like putting on a rinse cycle, isn't it, mate? Kind of repeat the process sort of thing. And then, Chris, like you said, you've got the option of someone with half a brain cell has to be the manager, unfortunately, and we don't have that at the moment. But a manager that maybe goes, we're playing well with a striker that likes to run in behind and get the ball on a high line. I want to make a change because he looks absolutely knackered, but I don't want to put on the reliable but more trap backing minded are you for this occasion. No, I want to put on a fast-paced striker that's going to run at the defence and keep causing them problems. I'm going to put Cannon on. So for me, loan out Daka, send Edward back. Well, I'll set up a GoFundMe page to pay for his taxi. I bring Cannon back from his loan at Stoke.
Yeah, no, I would not argue with that 100%. The interesting thing is, though, and I think you've mentioned this, is that The manager that bought him didn't like him,
Which
or didn't
why
seem to like him. In Enzo, and obviously Cooper's seen something he's not keen on. Whether that's his attitude or what, I don't know. But it's funny that they got the attitude when he goes to Stoke, and yes, he's got penalties and what have you. But we need a natural goal scorer or somebody that can hit the target. Daka, look, I tried to defend him. I can't anymore. He can't hit the target, but he does have the shots. Kiernan doesn't always score, but I think he quite often hits the target, and that's the different thing. Ray, I've got to say to this, Ray, this is, again, the comment of the night. Do not bring Kiernan back. Cooper has a statue of AU's bottom at his home. But then again, Ray, Cooper has got to park his bike somewhere.
Hey,
Thank you. I just thought I'd say that and be a little bit cheeky. I said it just for the crack.
Oh, you've made a right arse of things, haven't you?
Hey, you see, I drag everybody down to my level. That's what it is.
And also, Chris, to further the point as to why you bring him back as well, not just the goals, but time's running out. Iheanacho was going to be it. Oh, Daka might be it. Someone's got to replace Vardy in the long haul. And if he's not going to start playing Daka or giving him minutes anytime soon, maybe it should be the other 20-year-old, 20-something-year-old that we've got at that's a Leicester player that we should be picking. You know what I mean? He should be playing every week because we can't have Vardy.
We don't pick, like I said the other day, we don't develop youngsters at Leicester. If Wayne Rooney, 16-year-old Wayne Rooney, when he made his Premier League start for Everton, if he was playing for Leicester, he wouldn't have been brought through yet. We'd have been, he's a little bit too young yet. He's not quite ready for it. We play a 19-year. Somebody said, I'm not sure, it might have been Ray actually. A 19-year-old Bonete, really ready for the Premier League, but Alvis isn't. I know he's not been given the chance. But look, we're getting off tack a little bit. I want to say Ray has been reading my script here because this is the other guy I wanted to talk about. Why was Harry Souttar not given a fair chance? There is a talent there. Do we need another centre-back? And if we do, is Harry Souttar the man?
Harry Souttar should still have a future at this club, in my opinion, because he is a good centre back. He matches the criteria for centre backs that you want. A nice, tall centre back, no nonsense, gets rid of it. Unfortunately, there is a few things that need to happen because if you brought him back right now, he's just going to sit on TalkSport with Connor Cody, who is the most disappointing buy I've seen in a long time. I don't understand that either. I do not understand what Cody has been doing since he signed for us, because when he signed for us, he gave us Gok and Inler vibes, didn't he? Wolfson were fuming, we were raving, oh, you've got a great centre-back there, yeah, he's going to be brilliant for you.
Centre-back, yeah.
What centre-back? Because he hasn't kicked a ball for us apart from in a Carabao Cup match or giving away a penalty against Crystal Palace. So all he would do would be replacing Connor Cody on the bench every week. For me, Harry Souttar will be a Leicester City centre-back next season because as much as it's Chris's love child, and I'm going to hurt your feelings again here, Chris, Vestergaard won't be at the back line for Leicester next season because unfortunately, unlike Jamie Vardy, Vestergaard loses... gets another year older. Vestergaard gets a little bit slower. He's going to become more of a liability at the back. I want to see Harry Souttar and Akoli be the partnership next season with Faze being on the bench as the boat comes in and plays. And then have Vestergaard as your backup. Have Vestergaard as the backup for Souttar and Faze backup for Akoli. I think he needs the season out on loan. I would not bring him back in January, but I would get him in that squad next season, especially if we're still in the Premier League.
A couple of things on that. I think you've been very unfair to my love child when I've been very not unfair about your love child, Edward. I didn't say too many bad things about him.
You keep calling my Edward my love child, and I'm going to love child you out of this bloody Yeah. Remember, I've got the powers that be again.
He loves it. And remember, I can take them off you.
Like all in the head.
The problem we're going to have, look, he's 6'7", Harry Souttar. I don't understand why, again, we've got a dickhead of a manager like we have now that buys players and then doesn't play them. Vestergaard, Souttar. Oh, that was Brendan Rodgers for both of them, wasn't it? Yes. He's 26. He's 6'7". He knocks the goals in for Australia. Well, okay, that's different, kettle of fish. He is doing so well at Sheffield United. He's happy there. And he was said... he's set to stay at United until the end of the season and has a contract with Leicester until 2028. And while his future is out of his hand, he admits he would consider staying at Bramall Lane in the long term if the opportunity arose. Absolutely, he said. Absolutely. I'm here until the summer. That's a guarantee. Whatever happens after that is out of my hands, but in terms of my feelings towards the club, it's given me a lot, and the Gaffer's put a lot of trust in me, and I want to repay that for him. Which, again, you'd expect him to say because he's at that club. But if we're not careful, he's going to say, I don't actually want to come back.
No, you wouldn't blame him either. You would not blame him.
And if you've got a clown like Cooper here, he'd probably sell him and say, well, actually, there must be a 40-year-old defender we can get in.
Well, yeah. And unfortunately, let's just say Cooper keeps us up, and then we sack him. Harry Souttar might not fancy a third crack at the whip with a third different manager, a fourth different manager. Brendan brought him in. How many new managers have to come in and overlook you before you just give up the ghost on your career with the club you're at? And but does he though? Does he though, Scott? What morale? Yeah, because the thing is, I think it's a mask over what he is. I think he was a publicity stunt because he spent more time on a spinning chair at Talk Sport than he has in a Leicester place.
Yeah, but is that his fault?
Kind of.
He came in, he was starting, he got injured, a la Ryan Bertrand. He got injured, or Bertrand, as I like to call him. He got injured. Yeah. Other players have come in. We bought a Coley after we bought him, obviously. He maybe just not had that chance. I don't like Faze, as you know. Again, he's another one I would drop off at the nearest cliff. A Coley needs time. I think a Coley's a little bit like Soyuncu when we bought him. Soyuncu did well because he had that season until Maguire left, and then he replaced Maguire. And I think a Coley needs that bedding in. I don't think he's a regular starter. Not that any players get a regular start under unless you indeed under Cooper. I think we lack his experience. He can organise the defence. He is. Remember Wes Morgan at the end of his career at Leicester?
Mm.
It wasn't particularly bloody brilliant. Nearly cost us the FA Cup, in fact. And yet, he was there. He was the voice. He when he came on, he could organise. And I think that's what Cody offers.
He just get on though, mate. And I'm sorry, but I could understand Wes Morgan getting about 90 minutes of football per season in the last 2 or 3 years of his contract. I can't fathom why a former Wolves captain in his early-ish 30s isn't playing week in, week out in a relegation battle in Leicester side. If he can't get into this side now, he couldn't get into the team when we was in the Piston Championship.
Yeah, because in fairness to him, he got injured, and then a certain Yannick Vestergaard came in and was suddenly thinking, "Fuck, we've got a decent player here."
Yeah, but what? Okay, then, Chris. But what does that tell you about Cody performance on the training ground if Vestergaard is suddenly considered a better starter and a better option than him? I'm sorry, Chris. I'm just not enamored with him. I think we're thankful we only paid $3 million for him because he's a failure of a signing. I mean, you say give him a chance, but for all this talk, Ray, and all this talk of saying, he's not being given a chance. Well, if he was good enough, we wouldn't have brought a Cody in. If he was good enough, Vestergaard would have been shown the door and wouldn't have been given his chance in the team. He would have been going, no, sorry, mate, that's the reason I brought Cody in. When he's fit, he's back in because you ain't good.
But I think another manager, a better manager, maybe wouldn't have he would have looked at what he'd got rather than going out buying the majority of OAPs.
Yeah, but the manager who brought him in when he was fit didn't even bat an eyelid at putting him in the team, Chris. I'm sorry, but if you wanted him in that badly and he was performing that well for you in the training ground and not spending his time at Talkspurs FM, I would be sat here going, right, thank you very much, Mr. Vestergaard. And this happens, Chris. You listen to players tell tales of it happening to them in their career. They do really well. They think they've got back in with the manager, and then their favourite child comes back in, and they don't matter how well they played, they're straight back on the bench. We saw it with Brenda, didn't we? With his players. Napolis Mendy would play well for 4 or 5 games when Tillemans as soon as Tillemans was back fit, he was back in the team. Are you telling me?
I would agree 100% with you there.
Oh, good. Let's move on then, because I'm right and you're wrong, and your opinion is wrong. Sherlock got it right. Yeah, come on, next.
No, I'm not going that far. But look, it's like we've always said, it's about opinions, and this is what I like about it. But all I'm going to say is, with you and Edward, well.
And this is the Leicester Till I Die TV1 show.
I can get rid of him just as quickly. Get rid of me. I have a very big question for you at the end, but before we get to the end, is there anybody in the squad that you want to talk about? So I want to ask you, well, before I get to that very important question, another important question which came up via Ant yesterday, which is a very good one, is, look, Alves doesn't look like he's going to get a chance under Wank Blanket that we've got in charge. Does he need to go out on loan?
Yeah, he does. Him and Braybook, if they're not going to get played, need to be out on loan, and they need to be going to championship squads. Someone like a Portsmouth or an Oxford, someone are going to play week in, week out. A bit not too dissimilar to what we discussed with KDH going out on loan. If it's not to us, where would we want him to go for him? Them two need to be getting out and playing. They were both very unfortunate that when their time came to shine and they were seen and deemed ready, they both suffered very similar injuries.
Braybook is out on loan.
Yeah, he's
at Dundee, isn't he? I can't.
Yeah, of course. As soon as someone says it, it triggers it in your brain, doesn't it?
Yeah. But Alves, if he's not going to be played, send him out on loan, because he's just collecting dust, isn't he?
Yeah, but let's make the argument right here. I think Alves is great, but you're also watching a 20. What is he? 21 now, so he's only just borderline staying under 21 available, under 23s available. I think he's 21, 22 maybe now. He's also skilling 17, 18-year-olds. I think maybe he's getting a bit overhyped, because is Alves currently a big fish in a small pond and roles reverse if he gets into the first team? Or is there a genuine reason that the backroom staff aren't kicking down Codfish's door saying, why aren't you picking this guy? A bit like Dean Smith and John Terry with Soyuncu. Maybe, I don't think there's anything like that going on, but you know what I mean? Like, they came in and John Terry went, why is he training with the 12-year-olds? Why is he not in the team? And he got straight back in. Wasn't enough, unfortunately, to convince Soyuncu to stay, because, by God, I wish he was here.
Yes.
I really do. I mean that. I'd love Soyuncu back. As erratic as he is, I'd love him back in this team. But for me, where's he getting in the team? Your love child Skip is on the bench. Everybody's kind of tinted glasses are slowly falling off of Winks, but he's first team pick. Cooper's love child is playing in a number 10 role, which doesn't suit him. Wilfred Indeed is playing every week. Buonate is absolutely, lighting the world on fire, to the point where Leicester fans are getting excited about us paying the 48 million clause or whatever it is in his contract to bring him in permanently. Where does Alves fit in this team? Because right now I'm not seeing how he gets.
Richard says there, maybe we need a change of formation, and this is something that Kate brought up on Tuesday. Go through midfield. Sorry,
something that I did after the Man U game, didn't I, Chris?
Yeah, no, you did indeed. In fact, I'd forgotten that, and I'll give you credit there. You said that as well. Maybe that's what is needed. Interestingly, Canoes, we are a quarter of the season in, and his picture still isn't up on the LCFC website.
Yeah, and that's a player I do feel sorry for. It's kind of like the Atgun Fatawu situation, but it's a little bit worse from in that situation because Bortonete is only on loan, and there is no indication at all from Brighton. In fact, that they're going to sell. In fact, if anything, they're indicating more that they're pleased with his progress for next season to be playing for them because he signed a contract before he went. And Kalous's is the 20-odd million pound player that is going to be, or supposed to be, our permanent player going forward. He's going to be a first-team regular, and he's not getting a chance to shine. A formation change might allow that, but yeah,
one last player that we've bought who says he's happy and enjoying it here, Michael Golding.
Yeah, again, look, you got to remember he's 18.
If you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah, some wrong people have said that as well, mate. So let's not use that saying around here. some dodgy people have said that saying before. So let's not always take that as it is. I mean, Chris,
only you, but honestly, is it Craig? Is that you, Craig? Craig, is that you?
I know. But my point is, Chris, he's got to settle into the club. He's never played at the Premier League, I don't think, or if he has for Chelsea, it's got to have only been a few minutes here and there. I mean, you can feel sorry for them. It's not their fault they get that. You know, it's not their fault clubs are dumb enough to pay them stupid money. For me, Chris, and this is more the thing with Alves and right now, and I know eventually you've got to give them that chance, but we're not in a position to turn around to an unproven talent at 18 years of age and go, oh yeah, by the way, we've got, and let's just say we did it a couple of weeks ago, we've got Manchester United, we've got Red Hot Notts Forest, Manchester United and Chelsea our next 3 games. You've never kicked a ball in the Premier League. Let's get you knocked about a bit. No, I feel like Golding maybe should have played in the Carabao Cup games, which ironically would have played him against Manchester United, but he would have played a couple of rounds against easier opposition. Maybe if the tie's nice to us, he could play in the FA Cup 3rd round if we get a lower league opposition in that. And then depending on how the season goes, maybe near the end of the season, that's when you work these players into your plans for next season. But I'm more than content with him being happy.
Why give youngsters a chance and bed them into the team when we can bed in 40 and 50-year-olds that we've signed?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot Steve Cooper was our manager for a second. And yeah, they need time as well, don't they? Yeah, why don't we see if Matt Elliott wants to come down from commentary box and get into the team? I'm sure
I'd have him. I'm bloody have him at the moment.
Probably still do a job. Hey, he'd probably do a job up front, wouldn't he? Past the 30-year-old mark. And Martin O'Neill, you should chuck him and Walsh up front when we had no strikers.
Yeah, we won what was it, Worthington Cup at the time with Matt scoring the 2 goals. I want to end on this one. As I said to the no, I'm not going there. This is something that Ant said yesterday, and I disagreed with him totally. And apparently this is what they do at Brighton. And he thinks Cooper has no say on what players come into Leicester, and that the transfer team are the ones that make that decision. And I said no manager will have, unless you're Chelsea, but no manager, normal manager, would have players dropped on him that he didn't want. And he said that's what happens at Brighton. Now, I don't think it does. And I don't think it's certainly. I think the players that have come in under Cooper have been Cooper's choice.
No, Ant's probably got the wrong end of the stick with the Brighton thing, because Brighton, and funny enough, Brentford, it must just be a thing with teams that start with B. I know that they use what's called the FM engine. And that is that what they do is they look at all the attributes a player needs to be a successful player, And with all the technology today, they go out and scout these players, and it brings up that, let's say that ironically, let's say that is the average player normally gets, because Football Manager's on that 20, he's a 10 out of 20 in his acceleration speed, right?
Mm.
And the manager's gone, I want a fast midfielder, someone who's good at dribbling and can drive forward with the ball. And let's say they do a scouting pool, as it's called, and they go and scout and get all the data analysts, because you love all your data, don't you, Chris? You love all your statistics. And they go, right, the minimum we want is that level. And they find, and he goes, right, we've got 100 players that are that level or higher. And he goes, right, narrow it down to 5 for me then, and sell me the players, if you will, and then I'll pick which one I want, or which 2 I want
But
to
the
go
final
for.
say
That's what they
still
do.
comes down.
Yeah, exactly.
The final
That's
say
like
still
that.
comes down to the manager. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So eventually, that manager of Brighton will go, okay, you found me 5 names. Tell me a bit more about them. Why are these the final 5 that you found for me? Player A is this, player B is that, player C has this, and they'll give pros and cons of why this player is that, and then he'll go, right, that one and that one. Get me that one, and if you can't get me that one, he'll literally give them 1 to 5, and worst case scenario to best case scenario of how he wants to.
I 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000% think that these signings are Cooper.
Do you really
Cooper's come
think our
out.
scouting system side to overread?
Sorry.
Do you really think our scouting system side?
Well, this is it. I
overread?
mean, it's gone. It's gone so far away from what we as a club have done. When the Michael Golding sort of experience, that's Leicester City. If Bonetti was a signing, that's Leicester City. We go out, we get young, unknown to a degree players. We don't bring in, but Cooper's come out and said he wants the experience. He doesn't want the excuse that we didn't have the experience to stay up. And it's going to be interesting at the end of the season whether we or Ipswich finish above each other, because that's what Ipswich have done. This is not our club buying players. We don't operate in this way. He may have said, right, go out and buy me an experienced striker. So that, but he would have had the final input, and he would have had I think a hell of a lot of input on those players that have come in.
Yeah, and also, Chris, and again, please keep me in the stream. All right, you gotta promise me now. You're gonna listen to this here, right? Cooper's not entirely to blame on the quality or lack of quality of players that came in the summer. We have to remember, Chris, there was one pressing point that led to this, and that was not knowing our situation. And that was Leicester were bang to rights. We're going to get a points deduction. There was no chance we were going to be a Premier League team next season before a ball was even kicked. We were going to get 10, 6, 8, 10, 12, most points deduction ever, right? If cast your minds back to the summer, Chris, we had 3 players, one who was practically at the pissing airport.
I'm hovering. Carry on.
Right? We had 3 very, very hot prospected talents that had done well. I think one was a Bayer Leverkusen. I could be wrong. He's the most notable one. You know who I'm on about. I can't remember his name, but you know who I'm on about here.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
What happened, Chris? They kind of went, well, we'll go to Leicester if nobody comes in, because I don't really not 100% convinced for their situation. Went through the door. They slipped through our fingers. There was nothing we could do to stop it, because I don't think it was a wage thing. I don't think it was not matching that. I think it was purely the fact that these players were protecting themselves, and obviously they would, by going to a club where their future and the club's future was assured, instead of potentially at that point joining a club that could be relegated before they've even kicked a ball.
Now, it is a point that you are making.
I feel like Kobe Reed was like not even on the top 5 list of players, is what I'm trying to say.
But Michael Golding had that choice. He could have turned us down. Coley was younger. He could have turned us down. Not decrying from what you're saying and not arguing with 1 minute, because yes, we did lose a few players like that, but that's still no excuse for going out and getting somebody that's got a Zimmer frame in the back of the car.
no, definitely. Some players would have been better off to have not been brought than it would have been to fill a gap, which is what we have. We panic loaned in Edward because I feel like Cooper gave into the pressure of all the fans, and we were all saying that we need a striker, and we need striker. And Daka's injured, Cannon's on loan. If he's going to do that, he needs to get a striker. And I think he admitted it. Again, God, Scott's actually mentioned the person who actually does the job of transfers. I'm shocked, Chris, because isn't it all someone else's fault when we get bad transfers and bad players?
I think you're saying that you were referring to the gentleman who does every job at the club.
Yeah, the manager, the owner, the chief scout, the physio.
Apparently, he even wipes Top's arse when he has a shit. I don't know. You could be talking about Mr. John Rudkin.
I am. Funny enough, it's surprised. I actually forgot Martin Glover actually had a job at the club because you say wipes Top's arse. I heard he rubs his cheeks together to force a poo out. That's how much he's involved with the club. that was an ADHD thought that just came straight.
Aren't you glad I don't clip these shows anymore?
Oh, I wish you did sometimes, though, but I am glad. I am. For the 27 of you that just heard that, I hope you're having a good time.
There was anywhere to go after wiping his arse, but my God, you found the gap and you went for it. I've got to clip that. I know I don't clip anymore, but I've got to clip that.
Bring back the clips. There you go, Chris. Oh.
Oh dear, this is the man who provided me with more clips than anybody else, even Dave. I mean, your premature load.
Oh dear, yeah.
I think you've topped that now.
I mean, he does. That was an ADHD thought that just went blip straight. I can't. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to have to do it. I can't breathe. Oh, my ribs hurt. Oh, dear. Oh.
I've got to say, oh my God, I can't unsee that now.
Imagine walking around the corner and seeing that. Oh, I'm dying.
I can imagine seeing that in your contract. Official arse squeezer.
Well, what do you do for a living, mate? Oh dear, I can't even. Imagine saying your job title is clapping someone's cheeks and misinterpreting what they mean. Oh.
This wasn't even supposed to happen tonight. I only decided to do this at the last moment. Anyway, come on, let's get this on track. There we go. Yeah, I mean, I'm so. You nearly got away with it, but it kind of went round the back and then in this side. God, I'm not going to see that tonight. And every time I go for a shit now, I'm going to be thinking, Rudkin, where are you? It'd be a bit like the tomato sauce bottle, you know, when you're trying to get the last bit out and you really squeeze it.
Oh, we needed a laugh tonight.
Well, Oh dear! But I think us two are going to have a season off from doing shows together.
Send us out alone. Oh dear.
Nobody ever say Brad talk shit.
Oh dear.
He does have a point though. No, it is. Everybody blames Rudkin, and there was a great piece. There really was. I'm going back to last season now. That was written by Rob Tanner on the Athletic. Look, if you're not subscribed to the Athletic, I do not know why. Rob Tanner speaks the most sense, along with Fabrizio Romano. That it was a piece on what Rudkin did, and those people that moan about Rudkin doesn't always has no idea what he does basically. But I'm going to end on this bit. I keep saying I'm going to end. That's probably the wrong phrase again, isn't it? But got to say congratulations to Claudio back in management after his retirement.
Yeah. I mean, if only we'd have seen that and jumped the gun and got him back. But yeah, good to see. He's helping Roma out on a short-term basis. I think it is. Someone might say otherwise, but yeah, good to see.
Yeah. Would he have helped Leicester out though? Do you think we sacked him because we were in this sort of a position?
Yeah, but I think Claudio would just do Claudio things, wouldn't he? And he would just say, "Okay, dilly ding, dilly dong," and he'd leave the team as it is, and he just try and get confidence going.
Again, he couldn't do any worse. That's the thing. That's the thing for me. Brad, I'm going to have to go now and sort of think what I'm going to do with the rest of my career. But
just don't take your shit. That's what I'd say.
Thank you for coming in. I'd say, where can people find you? I don't know if anybody wants to find you after that comment.
Oh, no, after that, you don't want... Oh, dear. Just follow me on Twitter at Fulltime Focus and just, go.
Yeah, Fulltime Focus. That's where you find him on X, as it is now. But thank you, Brad. You've cheered me up tonight. I'm not going to do that.
I'm doing it right tonight.
And that, I'm sorry, that is going to get clipped in some form or another.
Wait, what?
I said that's going to get clipped in some form or another.
There you go, Chris. Bring back the YouTube shorts. I finally achieved my goal.
Yes, and it might not even be a short, because with the short you're only allowed a minute, and I think we will need longer than a minute for that one to be explained. Brad, have a great weekend, mate. No football to worry about, unless you're talking internationals, and let's be honest with you, who gives a shit? Half the England team don't. So thank you very much, mate. Have a good weekend, and I'll speak to you next week.
I'll speak to you next week. Take care, everybody.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, mate.
Yeah, bye.
Where am I going to go with that? I've no idea. I can't say when we're going to be back. Thank you, Scott. We desperately need Ranieri, says Ray. As grateful as Leicester fans are for Claudio, he's gone to the best club for it. Look, yeah, it means the world to him, doesn't it? It means the world to him. I guess do please. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you, and that's it. Welcome back. What a show for you to come back with, modern day, Scott. And LCFC Forever says bye all. If we're not back before, we will be back next Tuesday with the debate show. We will be back next. We'll be back next Thursday with the preview show. Had to think then. Thursday with the prediction show, Friday with the preview show, Saturday possibly with the talking balls, and then obviously the watch along as well. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good weekend. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Scott for modding. Thanks for Brad for coming in and making me laugh. And I will see you all on the other side. Remember, don't do anything I won't enjoy. Catch you later, guys.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.